Whenever I see Pastor Becky on stage, I see a bold, prayerful woman that is so full of fire. I didn't even know about most of the things I'll be sharing in this video until I decided to create this video. In this video, I share 7 hidden truths about Pastor Becky Enenche that would move you, inspire you, and remind you that God still raises women of purpose. Enjoy. Her full name is Rebecca Enenche Enenche, and she's popularly known as Pastor Becky. She's a trained medical doctor that transitioned to being a pastor alongside her husband, Pastor Paul Enenche of Dunamis International Gospel Center. She was born in my birth month, which is October. So she was born on the 23rd of October, 1970 in Benue State, Nigeria. Pastor Becky is a Christian author, she's a songwriter, and she's a gospel artist. She's known for having a strong passion for youths and abused people, and she uses her ministry to connect them back to God. When Pastor Becky was in high school, she said she usually come third or fourth position in class, but all of that changed because of a decision that she made on one fateful day.
I remember years ago, I was in Form 2, going into Form 3, yes, that long vac. My result would always be 4th position, 3rd position, that kind of thing. When I came, my father, a professor, he was in the university then, at ABU in Zaria. And around that long vac, you will see little young girls hanging around the university looking for admission. And they are ready to follow any lecturer, sleep with anybody, do anything they needed to do to get admission. And I turned to my mother and I said, I'm making up my mind now that I'm going to study so hard that when it is time for JAMB, I will pass my JAMB and nobody has to beg for me to get admission. That day I made up my mind. After that, nobody could see my brake light. Wire came past, JAMB came past.
She made this decision when she was just 12 or 13 years old and got admission to study medicine and surgery at the prestigious University of Jos. And she graduated in 1992 as the best graduated student in obstetrics and gynecology. Pastor Becky said she met Pastor Paul Enenche, her husband, in the university.
I was in the same university with my husband, in the same medical school. I was in my 4th year. And I didn't know him. I don't know if I've ever come across him in another part of the campus or something. We were both in medical school in different classes, but I didn't recognize him. And I went for a fellowship in one of the long vacations where it's only medical students that are left in school because we don't have holidays. And he was the one that was preaching that day. And I sat there and I was listening to the preaching, and I'm like, who is this guest minister? Where did he come from? I'd never seen him. Of course he knew me because I was the professor's daughter. my father taught all of us in physiology in medical school, and so they knew the professor's daughter, but I didn't know him. And then, he had made this call: if you want to walk deeper relationship with God, blah blah blah. And I wanted more fire, so I had come out with other people, and he prayed for all of us. And then after that meeting that day, he said, sister, have you ever prayed in tongues for 1 hour at a stretch? I said, can anybody pray in tongues for 1 hour at a stretch? He said, yes, definitely. So this is your assignment, you go do that. And one thing led to another, and then, cut a long story short, here we are married today.
They got married in 1994 when Pastor Becky was just 23 years old and Pastor Paul was 25 years old. Their marriage is blessed with 4 beautiful children and 1 grandson. During the early years of their marriage, Pastor Becky said her husband came home one day and informed her that he was going to go to a mountain to fast and pray for 3 days because he needed God's direction concerning an issue. When her husband left, Pastor Becky decided to also fast and pray. During her fast, she told God to tell her what he was telling her husband. And as God was speaking to her, she wrote it down. When her husband got back and told her what God told him, she brought out her notes and showed it to her husband. It was exactly what God told him that was written down there. So they were convinced about the next step of action he should take, and they did. Pastor Becky has shared several times that she's a financial manager in their home. She keeps all her husband's checkbooks and bank cards and has a day-to-day record of his finances. You rarely see Pastor Paul Enenche without Pastor Becky. They go everywhere together, and they are always wearing matching outfits. From March of 2007 to August 2010, Pastor Becky Enenche was the resident pastor of Dunamis International Gospel Center, Maraba, which is a branch in Abuja. While she was there, she planted 13 churches and built the structure where the Maraba church is right now to completion before she was then posted back to the headquarters. She said on one occasion, the branch organized a crusade and then they invited Pastor Paul Enenche as their guest minister. Pastor Paul came for the crusade, clamped the stage, greeted all the attendees, and then handed the mic back to Pastor Becky to preach. Pastor Becky was surprised. She thought he was joking, but he entered his car and he drove off. So she had no choice but to preach. But the amazing thing is that God used her mightily. Mind-blowing miracles erupted during that crusade, and lots of testimonies were recorded from that single meeting. Aside from being a co-senior pastor, Pastor Becky established the educational arm of Dunamis International Gospel Center in 2014. She had to do a postgraduate diploma in education before the school was registered so that she could equip herself with adequate knowledge on how to effectively run the school. She's currently the proprietress and director of both Destiny Christian Academy, which is the nursery and primary school, and Destiny College, which is the secondary school. She also serves as a director of administrations for the church, that's Dunamis International Gospel Center worldwide. She had to do an MBA, that's a Master's in Business Administration, in order to prepare herself to take this role. That Pastor Becky is a philanthropist. On her 50th birthday in October 2020, she built and donated a 10-room apartment to support homeless girls in Kunyami community in Abuja. Her aim was to relocate those girls to a safer environment. As if that was not enough, on her 51st birthday, she repeated the same gesture and donated another 10-bedroom apartment along with motorized borehole, pool kits, lunch boxes, scholarships, and she even renovated the palace at the Kunyami community. On her 54th birthday, she donated boreholes to communities in Abuja. She gave scholarships to orphans and dedicated a new church in those communities. In 2019 and in several Christmases afterwards, Pastor Becky and her husband distributed food packages to orphans, widows, less privileged, lots of persons both in Abuja and in Makurdi. Please note that these donations are peculiar to her. It is totally different from what the church does for other people, okay? She also runs regular empowerment programs for women and less privileged folks. So there you have it, my love. 7 things that you never knew about Pastor Becky Enenche. If you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? Click on the subscribe icon. It is totally free. Like this video, drop your comments in the comment section, and share with your friends and loved ones. I will see you in my next video. Until then,